You're very punctual. You're always on time. If somebody says be there at 5 o'clock, you there at 4:45. You're already there. You're sitting and you're waiting. Hey family, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I talk about sexual wellness, fashion, lifestyle, career, entrepreneurship advice. So if any of those things are of interest to you, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so you can become a part of the family too. And for my returning viewers, hey family, what's going on? Thank you so much for coming back and clicking on another video from your girl. So as y'all can see, y'all, I got my glasses on today because I'm not playing any games. And we getting right into it. Class is in session. I hope y'all got y'all notepad and pen because we getting right into it. Today we are back with another social work series. In today's topic of discussion, it was going to be setting unrealistic expectations on not only yourself, but your clients too. If you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on this, give this video a thumbs up. And let's get ready. Class is in session. All right, y'all. So today I wanted to talk about this topic because I see this go around so much, not only in my profession or whatnot, but also just in everyday life. We a lot of times set unrealistic expectations on our jobs. We do it in our relationships. We do it to our family, okay? And so we have to get better at being able to recognize when we know that something is just out of your control sometimes, and when other people do, you can't control that. So the more you start to become okay with that, you will kind of start to loose up and be like, okay, I can't really expect too much out of this other person, because if I do, then I'm gonna get myself disappointed. Goes back to that unrealistic expectation point. But anywho, that brings us on to our first point, which is be reasonable with your goals. So if we're talking about with a client or whatever, I always try to do this. I meet the client. They say this a lot in the field. I meet the client where they're at. Literally meet them where they're at. So if I know somebody is, for example, a previous alcoholic, and I am expecting them overnight to just not ever take a drink ever again. Like, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go to AA meetings, I'm gonna support you, we're gonna do activities involving ways that you can find other things to replace you drinking alcohol and blase. And then, you know, your client goes and has a drink that weekend, and next week you see them, they're all like, oh, hey, Miss Tatiana, I didn't want to tell you, but I did take a drink over the weekend. And then you all mad and upset and stuff. But it's like, you have to meet people where they are. People ain't gonna change overnight, so you have to be reasonable when you are helping somebody set a goal. So instead of off the rip you thinking that, you know, your client is going to stop drinking in this short span of time, be like, let's use an example. Jane will reduce her amount of drinking 1 to 2 times a week. Now that's more reasonable than being like, Jane will reduce her drinking altogether, because we're being unrealistic with that goal. She is an alcoholic, so if she's trying to stop this, she might not immediately just go cold turkey. And it's happened before, you know, it's always exceptions to the rule, as they say, but 9 times out of 10, it's just not gonna happen like this. You have to be reasonable. So instead of saying that, you could put, like I said, 1 to 2 times a week, Jane will stop drinking. And then when you start to notice that she's exceeding with that, 3 to 4 times a week, Jane will stop drinking. And then next thing you know, Jane will stop drinking on her own, because she starts to realize, okay, if I do this little by little, it's just kind of gonna start to come naturally. And that's just with anything in life. When you give yourself an inch, you know, and you keep going on that inch, the inch is going to continue to grow into a mile. Next thing you know, you running a whole race, baby. You running a race. So yeah, so that's the first tip I'm going to say, is to just make sure that you are reasonable with your goals when you set with yourself, because all this is going to be applied to you too and your client. The next tip I'm going to say is, don't expect somebody to get it as quickly as you do. So if you are expecting somebody to do something for you or whatnot, sometimes people don't operate the same way as you. Like for instance, if you are going out with your girlfriends and stuff like that, and you're very punctual, you're always on time. If somebody says be there at 5 o'clock, you there at 4:45. You're already there. You're sitting and you're waiting, and you're mad because your friend, you know, is always late, and she ends up getting there at 5:45, a whole hour later, and you're just, you know, fussing her out and this and the third. But you have to just understand that you can't expect everybody to get it like how you got it. You know, everybody don't grow up the same way as you do, so you have to be reasonable and be like, okay, let me just relax a little bit and try to get them. Yes, of course, you know, possibly bringing this up to the person so they can see that, oh, okay, this might be something I need to work on, being on time more, but just don't be expecting them to just get it as quickly as you got it, because 9 out of 10, they're not. So, you know, just give them some time, and over, you know, that span of it, they'll probably eventually get it, hopefully. All right, the next tip I have for y'all is creating short and long-term goals. So I feel like this is important because sometimes we set these unrealistic goals too. If I am, let's say, and I know people are going to be like, well, manifestation and prayer, and don't get me wrong, I'm for all of it. You know, I'm definitely a prayer warrior. I'm always praying about everything and stuff like that. But you got to be realistic with the goals that you're setting too. Like, God's gonna give you that vision, but the vision ain't gonna move if you're not moving with it. You feel me? So you got to be able to make sure that you are setting goals that you know that you can reach in that span of time. So for instance, my vision board, I make my vision board, but I set realistic goals. Before, I was just putting all kinds of stuff up there, everything that I wanted. Not that I could accomplish that specific year, but just in general. I'm putting a house up there, I'm putting a family up there, I'm putting all this stuff up there, and it's like, girl, yes, it can possibly happen, but you're being unrealistic with yourself. So when you give yourself realistic short and long-term goals, it can help you to be able to achieve them more quickly, and more you can focus and own in on it more, because you know, like, okay, it's possible for me to reach 5,000 subscribers. If I'm at 1,000 subscribers right now, by the end of this year, I could possibly reach 5,000. That's reasonable. 100,000 is possible, but you kind of pushing it. So you get what I'm saying? Like, you just gotta kind of be reasonable, y'all. Y'all gotta be reasonable with your long-term goals and your short-term goals. And whenever you do reach your goals, you know, make sure that you give yourself a praise on the back, and your client too. You know, when you notice them trying to make an emphasis on something that they want to work on more in their treatment plan, which is their goals and objectives thing that we do with them, you know, make sure that they are a part of that, and they're also checking in and being like, okay, well, this is something I want to work on, or this is something, you know, that I possibly don't want to work on no more. Okay, so the next tip I have for you guys is making sure that you are checking in with your client, and also checking in with yourself when you are working on a goal, and see if it's still relevant to your life. A lot of times, sometimes we set goals, or we set these expectations for ourselves, and we kind of get upset when we are in a season of like, this might not be the thing for you no more. I'm big on examples, so forgive me if I keep doing that, but I feel like that's the best way to kind of get people to visually get something. But you know, if you're in school and you wanted to be a nurse initially, and then you get in your second semester and you start to realize like, this is not maybe the end goal I wanted no more. So while you're still at the beginning, you know, changing your major, and you know, being realistic with yourself. So it's okay to be like, I don't want to do this particular thing no more. So same with your client. If they find themselves, they're working on a goal, and they're like, you know what, that goal is not really something that I'm interested in no more, and I don't feel like it's really going to serve me a purpose. It's okay to scratch the goal and come up with a new one. That's just the way of life. We're going to be constantly changing and constantly evolving, so you always just want to check in with yourself, and also checking in, you know, with your client, and just making sure that that's something that they still want to work towards. Okay, the next tip, and I feel like I already kind of touched on this a little bit too, is to always give yourself praise and your client praise whenever you are reaching a goal, whether it is small or big. It's so important to do this, because when you just hitting goals and reaching all kinds of stuff, you find yourself being like, well, dang, like, all right, what's next? Like, let me move on to the next thing, instead of just taking that moment of really basking in you doing whatever you did and accomplished in that season. So take a moment, whether that's going out to eat, shopping, taking a vacation, you know, I'm all for that, or whatever you want to do to just celebrate that small milestone that you did. Definitely take the time to do that, because life, that's what life is all about. Like, it's not always about go, go, go. All right, what's the next thing? Yeah, you want to do that, but you also want to give yourself praise in those seasons that, you know, you accomplish that stuff, because it gives you a reason to keep going. Like, if I know that you know, at the end of this week, I'm gonna go give myself a massage if I get all these reports done for my job. So it's kind of like an incentive for yourself. You kind of dangling that candle and being like, okay, if I get this done, I'm gonna be able to do this. So let me get this stuff done so I can be able to, you know, get my massage at the end of the week. All right, y'all, and the last thing I wanted to leave you guys with is don't put so much emphasis on others coming through for you to avoid disappointment. If I had $1, if I had a dime, if I had a penny, for any time somebody disappointed me, honey, I would be filthy stinking rich. Like, people are gonna disappoint you. It's just who we are, humans. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna disappoint you. So just don't put so much emphasis on and put so much faith sometimes in other people. You have to put faith back in yourself, put faith back in God, and understand that He has a plan for you and the people around you, whether they're going to be in your season all your life or they're going to be transitioning at a one point. You just always got to make sure that you don't put so much emphasis on other people, because when you do, you deal with disappointment. And I feel like I hate to hear that somebody's disappointed in me more than they mad at me, because it's like, dang, like disappointment is like, it comes from a deep place. Like, dang, like I really thought you was gonna come through for me and you ain't do that. Like, I'm really disappointed in you. It just, somebody just, it hit different. It hurt. It like, ooh, let me get myself together, because I don't want to hear that again. I don't know if that can relate to anybody, but I hate hearing that. And I always hated hearing that growing up, you know, when I would get in trouble and stuff. And, you know, if I would get in trouble and they would say, I'm disappointed in you, I'm like, let me get it together. Let me get it together today. So yes, y'all, you know, don't be so hard on yourself, and don't put so much, like I said, trust or thinking that somebody is not going to make a mistake or fail you, because we're human and we're going to make mistakes and stuff. Not excusing some of these behaviors, but you just also have to give yourself grace. So you got to give your client and the other person grace too, to understand that it's going to be times of slip-ups. But you know, when you already are expecting it, you kind of can't disappoint yourself. So that's another one to take away. All right, y'all, and that is it. Class is over. We can put the notepads down. You can pull your phones out, all that good stuff and whatnot. So if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a huge thumbs up. I am going to leave you guys with a question, because I always like to leave y'all with a question at the end of these little social work series or whatnot. And the question is, when is a time that you experienced some disappointment, and how did you go about the disappointment? So I want you guys to comment that down below and answer that question, pretty much just saying, how do you deal with disappointment when you receive it? And yeah, let's get a conversation going and see how that goes. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you still ain't subscribed to the family yet, what are you waiting on? Be sure to click on that red subscribe button down below before leaving out. I thank you guys so much for all the love and support you continue to show. Be sure to also leave down below some social work series topics that you guys want me to go over. I'm definitely very big on open to suggestions or whatnot, and this doesn't have to always be like social work related. I try to do things that it's like just everyday related to, like some of this stuff, as you guys see, you can apply for your daily life as well, because that's something we do too. We set unrealistic expectations. So yeah, definitely leave some suggestions down below. But anywho, let me go ahead and get off here, because y'all know I like to talk. But anywho, thank you guys so much again for watching, and you already know I will see you in my next video. Bye, y'all. Turn up the